he got there. All right? He's the CEO and founder of Inspired Business Innovations in Fayetteville. He brings over 17 years of technical project management, solution engineering, federal government, military, veteran, adult education, knowledge management, staff team coaching development, and entrepreneur experience in the many roles he has held in his career. He holds a master's in business administration, a master of science in management, and a master of information systems. He is the president of Johnston IT Consulting. And recently, he just won the Association's Members of the Year Award at CompTIA ChannelCon in 2018 that was held in Washington, D.C. Currently, he is working every day to bring young people into the field and get them interested in technology. He is working to increase in diversity in the industry, especially with women and all of us in this room today. So as he comes up, why don't you give him a big round of applause as he comes and share his story and the opportunity that he may have that you guys can kind of gravitate to. So without further ado, let's get Victor Johnston up here.
So I guess before I ditch the microphone, does anyone in here have any hearing problems? Anyone in here have any hearing issues?
Can y'all hear me if I talk to you like this?
So I'm not a fan of these, so I'm going to put this down.
Now, it's a pleasure to be here with y'all today. One of the things that I started looking at a couple years ago is I kept making further and further strides. So I started noticing more and more how the people who used to be to the left and right of me were further and further gone. They weren't there anymore. A lot of what people see right now, it's like what he says. They see these magazine covers, they see all these articles, they see me rocking suits and going to places. If you personally know me, you know you never see me in a suit usually unless there's a check with at least 4 zeros in the dollar columns, right? I wear one special for y'all so that y'all get the same treatment that I give these big businesses. Because y'all matter to me. A lot of people don't understand, while this stuff was great, while this stuff kind of made a difference, at one point in my life, it wasn't quite like that. How many of y'all could tell me right now what you see? What do you think success for yourself is? What do you think when you're old? Yeah. Yeah, well, like, what would make you happy in life? If you got to this point, what would make you happy right now? To be accomplished in your goals. I want you to think about that a little bit further. What are your goals right now? That's fair, that's fair. How about you, sir? White shirt. What do you feel? Nah, one right next to you. How do you feel? What would be your measure of happiness? What would make you happy to know you're doing it in, let's say, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? What'd you say? You having a lot of money. Man, I'm going to dispel that notion real quick, because that's one of the things that really sucks when you actually get up to that point, right? So we talk about having a lot of money. We talk about being able to get to that point, right? And when I was a little bit younger, Nelly had a song that was out. It was like, if you really ballin', stop the stallin', let a grand hang out, right? That was a big deal. He was talking about if you really got that kind of money, pull up a grand out your pocket right now and show you got that kind of money, right? Well, I'll tell you outright, let that money show, because it ain't nothing. That kind of money doesn't get you that happiness. That kind of money doesn't find you what you're looking for. Okay? You know what does find that for you? Having a purpose in your life. And as I was talking about, a lot of my friends and family, 21 years ago today, I was sitting where y'all are at, right? I was in middle school. At least for a little while. Because I found myself in the principal's office. I found myself tied up in the juvenile justice system. And I found myself in a place called Waycross Regional Youth Detention Center. Wasn't my first time. Wasn't my last. Every time I turned around, there was something else. There was some other problem. There was some other a challenge that was facing me. By the time I was 16 years old, and I want y'all to think about that. That ain't much older than what y'all are, right? By the time I was 16 years old, I've been shot 3 different times. I've been stabbed, I've been beaten, I've been run through so many problems. And you know, I started thinking to myself, when I started deciding I want to work with kids, I was like, you know, what was it? What was it that I was missing, right? Because how do you go from that to this? It don't make much sense, does it? And I was hopeless. And I'll be outright. I was joking around with my graduating high school class this morning on Facebook. And I was talking about doing this, and I was bringing up the fact that a lot of them went to middle school with me. And I was like, man, you know, who would have figured? Because it's ironic. That 8th grade person that put me out, as he was talking about CompTIA, that is a global IT trade organization. All right, and when I say global, I mean global. We on every continent except for Antarctica. We don't really want to be there because that's too cold, right? So the teacher who was responsible in that particular situation for putting me away was my keyboarding and computer class teacher. And this was in the wake of Columbine shooting. Y'all hear about Sandy Hook, y'all hear about all the other stuff at the time. Columbine was the first really big shooting that we had in schools. It was tragic. But how many of y'all know the difference between intelligence and wisdom? Any of y'all know that difference? What do you think it is? So she said this real good. Intelligence is your smarts. Wisdom is your ability to use your smarts. I'll let you get a shot too, because I see your hand up. What do you think it is? That's fair. So let me go ahead and rock y'all's mind with something simple, right? This will be easy to stick with you for any of you that don't get those little analogies, right? Intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Tomato's a fruit. Wisdom is knowing that you don't put a tomato in a fruit salad. If someone served you a fruit salad with a tomato in it, you wouldn't be too happy, would you? No, that's pretty gross, right? But that's what the difference is. I had the intelligence to know where I was right. I had the intelligence to know where I could make my grounds. But I didn't have the wisdom to know how to pick and choose my battles. How to keep my mouth shut even if I was right, because I wasn't going to win it. And this particular teacher, right after Columbine, you know, that choice of words. In this particular instance, because of the record that I had already had for violence and stuff like that, I told her, I wish she'd drop off the face of the earth. Right? That's a horrible thing, ain't it? Oh my God, I said something so terrible. I got charged with terroristic threats. I got hit with another felony and put behind bars for that. And you know, you sit there at the time and you try to rationalize that in your mind, and you try to figure out what's going on. Why is this so much different for me, right? So I started thinking, as I got older and I got away from that, and I had the opportunity to be an adult, gain more of that wisdom, you know, I managed to get what was my pinnacle for success for me as a young man. You know what I thought success was for me? Getting a full-time job at UPS, right? Because UPS, and you chuckling, they pay good. Back then, you know what minimum wage was for us? $5.15 an hour. And that was not that much money, right? UPS paid you more than that. UPS provides you with medical, dental, and vision insurance for free. UPS paid for you to go to college. UPS did a whole bunch of stuff. I got there and I didn't stop. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, so how did things change, right? What was the difference between then and now? Tenacity. How many of y'all know what tenacity is? See any hands? Tenacity is the ability to keep going and keep fighting despite all the negative around you. Tenacity is the ability to wake up every single day and go, you know what? I failed at this 17 times in a row. I'm going to change just one little bit, and I'm going to see it. Do I fail or do I make it this time? And if I don't, what can I learn from this? How can I go again? How can I make this work next time? Tenacity was the difference. A lot of my peers didn't have that. You know what their vision of success was? I'm going to be the best dope dealer on the block. I kid you not. That life worked for you for a little bit, not for long. Because there'll always be someone better. Every time it gets cold, I feel every gunshot in my body. The Army didn't do me much better. I got a reconstructed skull, 4 metal plates and 29 screws from where I was blown up. By the time I was 25 years old, I've been shot, stabbed, beaten, drowned, blown up, poisoned, electrocuted, burned in on jumps, hit by cars, and somehow I was still walking around. I feel like I'm one of them things, like a plague on society, just meant to stick around and make everybody angry. That's why I was still around, right? So I want you to think about some stuff. As I sit here now, and I think about what was I missing back then? What was some stuff that mattered to me? What was stuff that matters to me now that I didn't have then? First thing I'm going to talk about is a mentor. How many of y'all have a mentor? I see a couple hands coming up here. What y'all think about Mr. Carmichael? That man loves y'all. That man loves y'all. I'm going to tell y'all outright. He cares about y'all so much. You should hear the passion in his words when he talks about y'all. Because he wants nothing but the best. He wants to see every one of you grow up, be successful, and live happy, fulfilled lives. Right? But you know what? Mentors are important. I never had one. I had to learn all my lessons the hard way. Where a lot of my brothers and sisters to my right and my left dropped off because I don't want to learn this lesson again. This hurts too much. I'm tired of failing. I'm going to go back to what I know. Every time something just didn't work out, they quit. That mentor would have helped keep you sharp. That mentor would have helped you see what you didn't to keep that hope in your heart. Next, and this one really got me. Friends who really have my best interests in mind. How many of y'all think you've got some awesome friends? Hopefully I see everyone's hands kind of come up to some awesome friends, right? I didn't. I had that kind of friend who would sit there. Let's say you had an issue, right? Someone smart off to you. I had those friends who would sit there like, hey man, you gonna take that? You gonna let them talk to you that way? And you know, it only takes a couple seconds, right? It only takes a couple seconds to let a situation get out from underneath you. I'm sure we've all been there, right? Everyone in this room has probably said something that they kind of think back afterwards and go, man, you know, I wish I would have kept my temper. You know, we've all done it. We're human. In the psychology world, they have something, it's called an amygdala hijack. It's where your primal brain takes over and you're not rationalizing anymore. That little altercation that you just had, it isn't being interpreted as, man, that dude just spilled food in my lap. That amygdala is part of your brain that was responsible for us surviving when we were primitive humans, right? What that thing does is it relates that spilled milk in your lap to a saber-toothed cat scratching outside your cave getting ready to eat you. Your brain rationalizes it as a life or death situation even though it's not. And if you can't get a hold of that amygdala hijack, you fly off the handle and do some dumb stuff, don't you? Sure, everyone knows what that's like. My friends, they didn't do that for me. They didn't go, hey man, it's just some milk. Don't worry about it. Why are you stressed? They didn't do the, man, yeah, he threatened you, but what's he gonna do? You really think he's gonna step up? You know that kind. You know him. You know he ain't gonna do it. They didn't do any of that. They egged me on. They sat right there and let me know how people weren't gonna respect me. They put down my reputation. They put down my pride. Pride's a big thing in the hood. They're like, man, if you don't step up, if you don't do this, if you don't do that. Think of how much them friends helped me out. As them friends sat out free, while my butt got locked up again, every time. Sounds like good friends, don't they? You've got to keep them in mind. You got to keep them in mind. When I was 17 years old, you talk about the people you associate yourself with. I actually ended up going to jail over another person stealing and putting stuff in my car, because the little, you can't afford too much when you're poor. So the little car I had some burned out electric locks in it that you couldn't even manually lock anymore. The motors were just frozen. And I could prove I had nothing to do with it. There were video camera surveillance and everything else. I could prove I had nothing to do with it. But because he walked his happy butt out of the gas station and put what he stole, some blacks, some freaking beef jerky, a couple fruit pies, stuff like that, because he put that stuff in my car, guess who got busted for it? And he got to go home because he was like 15 or 16 at the time. And because I was 17, I got to go to county. That's one of them moments where the people you surround yourself around, they make a difference. I never understood money up until a couple of years ago, right? I thought like you, man, I'm gonna earn a lot of money. And then I got to earning a lot of money, and I was like, man, this is nice. I like this. I'm going to spend a lot of money. And I started spending a lot of money. And you don't even think about it. You go from being broke all the time to where you're like, oh yeah, I can afford that, because you look at credit. Credit, man. If you don't learn anything else from me in this talk today, learn about credit. Because that thing is a great tool. Go home and Google it. That's a great tool. But it'll also bury you. Because all of a sudden, I went from being broke my whole life to being able to just drop 20 G's on something that wasn't even in my pocket at the time. It was just a little card I'd swipe. Be like, whoop, got it. And I got myself $450,000 in debt. Because I thought, it's what it is, right? And I kept telling myself I can afford it. I forgot there's interest that all them banks tack onto everything. And my interest payments by themselves were almost $4,000 a month. That's before I even started touching the money I owed them. That was just the extra money that they get paid because I owed them money. It sucked. Made a lot of mistakes. A mentor could have helped me. Friends who really had my best interest in mind. If I was surrounding myself around the right friends at the time. If I didn't surround myself with a bunch of people that never earned any money. If I would have made new friends. For where I wanted to be, not where I was. I would have learned a tight lesson on that one. And I wouldn't have made so many mistakes. I wouldn't have spent so much of that money out doing frivolous stuff. I bought myself 100 years of Mercedes-Benz Anniversary Edition, CL 550, $189,000 car. Felt I was so proud. Like a month down the road, right? I'm driving this thing down the roads in Fayetteville. Y'all have noticed there's a lot of gravel out on these roads in Fayetteville, aren't there? A lot of rocks and stuff like that. And every time I was driving down the road and I heard a tick on my paint, what do you think I did? My shoulders cringe up and everything because I'm thinking how much that car costs. And I probably got another chip on my paint. And it made it where I didn't even want to drive that car. I just wanted to leave it in my garage. And now I'm paying a fortune for something that just sits in my garage every day because I don't want to drive it. It makes me too angry. You get these mothers that pull up right next to your car, open parking lot, swing their doors open with the kids and everything, and they bang up your car. It just made it where it wasn't nice. I found out money wasn't the thing. I thought it would be. Money wasn't the thing for me. When you talk about that purpose, that's where we're going to come into that. What do y'all think a purpose is? Any of y'all have an idea? Y'all, purpose is what you're going to do with yourself. How you're making your life right. Not just for yourself, but for the world around you. So, as I was sitting there going through that little bit of a struggle, I was thinking to myself, what is my purpose? I had just gotten medically retired out of the military. I fought it kicking and screaming. It was something I didn't want to do. I had to restart again. I've had so many different careers at this point in my life, I can't even, like seriously, there's not enough time in the day to talk about all the different things I've done. The temp working, I remember standing outside of CPAC, which is like a, CPAC has a lot of your frozen foods and all that you guys buy out in Brunswick, Georgia. And I remember standing outside there with the illegal Mexicans waiting to be able to come in and maybe be able to work, get a shift, and they pay you same day. They give you $10 an hour to go out there and work, freezing your butt off in that little packaging facility. No jacket, couldn't afford one. I remember having to eat out of the trash can. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? Why? Like, you would think after going through that, you would be really happy, wouldn't you? You would think that because you have overcome all those different hurdles, that you'd have a smile on your face, don't you? It didn't. It was just about, what's the next target? What's my next shot? How am I going to get it again? How am I going to get good again? And I started finding out my purpose came back into giving back. Because the more I thought about all the kids that I grew up around, how many of them do you think made it? Any of y'all want to take a guess? Anyone feel lucky? How many of y'all think made it? 2? Any other numbers? 3? Me. I'm the only one. That's a hard reality. All the other boys who I spent a lot of those times with, and I specifically speak to the boys on this one, are dead or in jail for the rest of their life. That's time you can't get back. And you know, they weren't these bad people. They had hopes, they had dreams, they wanted to live a life just like everyone else did, right? But because they didn't make it a point to find one of these, and they had a lot of the wrong kinds of these, life got away from them. So I make it my mission now, my purpose, is to make sure I give back as much as I can, to be able to make as much of a difference as I can, because you can't, once you get to certain points, I'm not going to say it's impossible to backtrack, but it's hard. Y'all heard me talking about that, my middle school experience, right? How many of y'all would think that was something wrong? I bet you if I asked your teacher standing up against the hallway, if someone said, I wish you dropped off the face of the earth, how many of them would feel threatened? I bet you not a single one back there would feel that that was a terroristic threat. They would understand that's a statement of frustration. But when you pass certain thresholds because you can't get your behaviors on track, people don't care. They don't want to listen to you anymore. And they start making up these magical statements about what it is that you were really trying to say. And at that time, it is so hard to get traction. Any of y'all ever seen someone get stuck in snow or the mud? Yeah? What happens when they press on that gas pedal hard, buddy? They don't go nowhere, do they? They just spin. And what do we know? We working hard, right? We studying hard, we working hard, we giving it our all, just like you pressing hard down on that gas pedal, spinning all over the place, getting nowhere. Keep that in mind, because a lot of times you've got to be smart about what you're doing. The internet. I did not have the internet. Y'all have the most amazing tool available to you in your pocket. Even my library did not have internet. When I was talking about that keyboarding in computer class, they had one computer that they would show us, and the rest they'd print out like this keyboard on a piece of paper. And what they would do is they would take that little piece of paper, and you had to just sit there on that little piece of paper and peck at it with your fingers, right? So that you could simulate that you're typing. Because they didn't even have the budget for typewriters. They didn't spend that kind of money on us. The internet has allowed me to overcome so much. I'll sit there, the way I got into the tech industry really good, it wasn't about what I knew, right? Despite the fact that I got 3 master's degrees under my name now, it wasn't about what I knew. It was about what I could find out. And over and over again, I ended up in situations where all I had to do was pull that information up and all of a sudden I could do it. How many of y'all have used YouTube to learn how to do something? Man, look at this. It's amazing, ain't it? That's like having someone looking right at you, teaching you how to do it. As you could just watch that video. You know how many people I know that know how to floss just because they learn how to do that from YouTube? Because they watch all them little dancing videos on YouTube. We had to clown around and do it elsewhere, right? Now this one right here, this conflict management and accountability management skills. These are some big words, right? Let me tell y'all what they are. Conflict management is the ability to keep your temper down and the ability to de-escalate others when they're upset. How many times have y'all accidentally upset somebody when you didn't mean to? I'm pretty much sure every single person in this room has done that over and over, right? You accidentally say something, you get up and you roll your eyes, and you don't even mean to, right? You roll in your eyes because you're frustrated about whatever you were doing when someone called you to do something. You get up and you roll in your eyes about this, and then they take it that you disrespected them, right? Think of how many times that happens. Conflict management skills. These are all things that you can learn on YouTube, that you can learn on Google, right? They're valuable skills. All of a sudden, oh, wait, homie, I didn't mean to upset you that way. Let's go ahead and talk about this right quick. That wasn't what I meant to do. This was. That wasn't what I was trying to say. You know, be able to de-escalate a situation doesn't mean you're a punk. Being able to de-escalate a situation means that you ain't having stupid fights. How many of y'all want to be stupid? Probably no one in here, right? I don't like scrapping over stupid stuff. When it's something silly and someone's mad, how do you get that calm back down? Conflict management skills. That accountability management. What that is, that accountability management is when you've had a violated expectation or someone has broken their commitment to you. Let's say I promised you, hey, I'm going to take you out for ice cream, right? I make a promise. And then you come back around like, okay, where's my ice cream? And I tell you, oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Can't do that. That doesn't feel good, does it? I'm sure most of us, you know, just from the nature of being a parent myself, right? You end up accidentally making promises to your kid that sometimes things get over you, right? You forget about stuff. And it's not on purpose, but now my kid don't notice it too much yet. She just kind of whatever, I'll just float to the next thing, right? But how many of y'all have been upset because your parents have promised you something? If you do something, and then you did that, they forgot you. See, I see a lot of hands coming up right now. And then when you brought it up to them, like, hey, you promised me this, what's going on? They got mad at you. That's that accountability management skill, because you come at them sideways, being upset about something, rather than remembering what was your goal. Your goal was to remind them that they were going to do something nice for you, right? Well, that accountability management, holding others accountable, holding yourself accountable, is a skill that I didn't have. All I knew how to do was get violent. Whether it be verbal violence, whether it be physical violence, that's all I knew. That's all I was taught. How many of y'all can say you have been, how many of you have heard of accountability management before me today? Got 1, 2, 3. How about you adults? How many of y'all have heard of accountability management? Most of them, right? The funny thing about it is, very few people know that accountability, why do people do what they do? How about you? Why do you think people do what they do? Yeah. To get something. What about you? Why do you think people do what they do? Y'all just looking to the right here. Let me make this a little easy. Why do people do what they do? It's what they want to do. He's got a little bit closer there. Let me tell y'all why people do what they do. It's because they want to or they don't want to, and because they can or they can't. Motivation and ability, that's the basis of that, right? If I come over to you and I said, yo, I want you to get up on the bench press right now, put up 450 pounds. Could you do that for me? Now, is he saying no because he's lazy? Yeah. I'm going to say, I can just about guarantee you, he does not have the physical ability right now to put up 450 pounds. So if my expectation of him is for him to get up on a bench press and throw up 450 pounds, then I'm probably setting him up for failure, aren't I? And I'm probably setting myself up to be mad, aren't I? How many times have y'all been told to do something that you just really don't have the bandwidth for, that you just don't have the ability to do, and whether you just don't want to ask for help, whether you just think that they already know you can't do that and they're telling you to do it, so you just don't say anything, right? How many of y'all been asked to do something that you feel you can't do? And how many of y'all have ended up failing at that task unintentionally? Accountability management helps you on both directions talk about that. It helps you from the person with the violated expectation to communicate. And it helps you as the person who violated someone else's expectation. Even at the point that I'm at right now, I still have folks that come up to me and like, hey, so, you know, you told me that you were going to be able to do blah, 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 blah. What's up? And I got to sit there and go, hold on a minute. And you find out you told them that you were going to paint a little toy school bus for them, right? Like a little one that fits in the palm of your hand. And they're expecting you to paint a fleet of school buses like real size off of the same dollar amount, right? And you happen to have that accountability expectation point where you're just like, listen, that's not what we were trying to accomplish here, right? Next thing we look at this, I leave this at the bottom. Hope. What does hope mean to you? What does hope mean to you? As you know what it meant to myself and a lot of the people around me? It meant the difference at even trying. Why even bother? How many of y'all are like dead set, I'm going to college and I'm going to kill it in college? How many of y'all know what you're going to go to college for? See, this is amazing. Let me tell you the signs of progress right now, and I really give it to your teachers on this. You know how many hands would have come up at my school? Maybe a couple. College wasn't in it for us. I'm wearing 2 rings on my hands right now that I don't wear jewelry except for my watch. I'm wearing 2 rings on my hand. Both of these are symbolic to me. This one with this blue stone, I never thought I'd graduate high school. It wasn't because I was dumb. I was always in jail again. Because I always had some teacher messing with me. I always had some problem. It sucked. This one right here is symbolic because I never thought I'd go to college. I remember in high school when I took my SATs, I remember my assistant principal took my results from me, sat down in front of me. He read them out, and he balled them up and threw them in the trash in front of me. They said, people like me don't go to college. I need to find me a good factory job. Hope means a lot. Hope is the difference, and this is one of the things I tell to a lot of big executives right now. Because when you talk about diversity and inclusion, you know that African Americans comprise of 8% of the tech sector. And this is, we're not just talking about like computer coding jobs and, you know, I'm fixing a computer kind of jobs. We're talking managers. We're talking human resources. We're talking talent acquisition, you know, basically hiring people, bringing people on, scouting out new talent. We talking marketing. So why do you think that they only comprise of 8%? Because of hope. If people don't feel that something is in their cards, if people don't feel that they got a chance to do something, are you going to try it? I want each and every one of y'all to think about this. If I told y'all all to jump off of this stage and flap your arms, would any one of you believe that you would fly? We got a couple back there. That one, that's some strong hope. I don't have that strong hope. The reality is, hope is the difference between thinking that you can even try and giving it your honest effort and just sitting there with your arms folded going, why even bother? It's not going to be anything. Hope means a lot. And if you can inspire hope in the hearts of other people around you, do it. Do it. If you can encourage your pals, if you can be there and help them make those decisions, do it. Get them jazzed up. So we talk about those key takeaways from my path, right? Hope is important. Hope is important. I've seen so many people throughout my life not even try something because they think it's just not even a chance for them. Me winning Member of the Year for CompTIA, I didn't think that was possible because, again, that's a global trade organization. I'm competing against a lot of chief executive officers, chief operations officers, chief financial officers. I'm competing against a lot of big name people from the entire tech sector, like Microsoft, Cisco, NetApp, all these different companies, right? I had so many people approach me to fill out, because it was a pretty bad little application you have to fill out for that. And they talked to me, and it took almost 30 people beating me down to fill out that application before I would even open it up and look at it, because I'm like, why waste my time if I ain't even gonna get it? Who wants to waste their time doing something for nothing, right? I opened up the application and realized it was going to take me like 4.5 hours to fill that out because it requires you to basically highlight everything you've been doing. I was like, nope. I got bothered by another 20 some odd people until I filled it out. And Nancy Hammervick, the Executive Vice President of Industry Relations for that organization, is the one that called me up to let me know I won. And it was so important for her to present me with that award, that she showed up even after her mother ended up in the hospital. She checked and made sure her mother was okay and stable, and she took a flight right back down to DC from New York just to be able to hand me my award and to tell me how much that meant for her. But that's something I almost didn't even fill out. Because why? Because even at this point, you still remember those lessons. That friends matter. Find good friends. Find people who are encouraging you, who are pushing you. When you do something stupid, your friends shouldn't be sitting there just laughing at you. Your friends should be sitting there going, yo, what's wrong with you? Come here, talk to me. Let's figure out what's going on right now. Your friends should be pushing you and encouraging you to take that next step. I have friends that make fun of you because you come home with an A. They'd be like, what, you a nerd now? You don't want that. You want the friends who are going to actually reward that behavior, who are going to encourage you and be like, man, you could have got 100 on that paper, you're just slacking off, right? Purpose is more important than task. We always worry about what it is we're going to do, right? We wake up in the morning, I got to worry about brushing my teeth, I got to worry about getting dressed, I got to worry about eating my breakfast, I got to worry about getting to work, I got to worry about, for y'all, got to worry about going to school. We worry about what it is that we got to do. Worry about why you're doing it. This purpose, this is what drives you to do what you do. This is what allows you to go out and make a difference in the world around you, in the lives around you. It's what allows you to have more of an impact for yourself. When I was a young man and I was only worried about tasks, I succeeded all the time, right? Killed it. But it meant nothing. Because again, when y'all hear me talk about who was to my left and right when I made it, I had no one to celebrate with at the end. Yeah, I made it. Big whoop. Listen selectively. This is one of the things I'm going to say that probably every one of your teachers in this room are going to cringe at. But how many of y'all know what selective listening is? What'd you say it is, bud? Listen to what you want to hear. All right, think of it like that. Sometimes it's listening to what you need to hear. I had a lot of people tell me that principal that balled up my SAT scores and threw them in the trash in front of me and said, people like you don't go to college. I didn't listen to him. Not only did I go to college, I did exceptionally well in college. I got inducted into 3 different National Honor Societies. But what would have happened if I would have believed that man? And I would have stopped. When I have people tell me, don't do that, don't quit your job and start your own business, watch what's going to happen. What are you going to do when your business shutters and you ain't got any money? What then? I wouldn't have taken the risks that I've taken in my life. Sometimes you got to be able to know what it is, and this is why I say purpose is so important. Because you got to be able to feel in your heart what it is that you want to do with yourself. Sometimes you got to take risks. Am I going to tell you that you were going to succeed all the time? No. I have fallen so many times and had to rebuild myself so many times. But you know what? It gets easier every time. Because every time you go, man, that hurt. And you get yourself back up and you're like, okay, how can I undo this damage I did this time? It's an important life skill called resilience. All right? When I put this on here, surround yourself with people who think differently than you. How many of y'all are aware of how politically divided our nation is? Probably everyone in here, because you hear stuff all the time, from the wall to how people shouldn't have to pay for certain things to just insert. I'm not here to speak politically, y'all. But you hear the same thing in ideologies and cultures, right? People just living together. They have a hard time agreeing to disagree, right? The bright side of surrounding yourself around people who think differently than you is your ideas are always challenged. Don't treat it as a threat. Treat it as an opportunity to grow and learn. You know how many times I've been wrong? A lot. A lot. I've been wrong about a lot of people. I've been wrong about a lot of things. Right? But you know, it sucks when you got to learn that because you messed up, right? Because you trusted the wrong person, because you did this or that. It's better to learn it because you surrounded yourself with people that had a different perspective than you. And they could talk about what it is that you're doing. And why are you doing it that way? When I surrounded myself around people who had money, they taught me how to better manage my money. It made a big difference. Last but not least, this right here. Bye, Felicia, to the toxic people in your life. Understand, and I wanted to throw a little clip, Ice Cube up there, but I decided against it. Seriously, say bye to the people who are toxic in your life. If they are constantly dragging you down, if they are constantly telling you why you are not able to do something, why you need to focus on these menial things or whatever else, understand there's a purpose to a lot of those things. But if you've got a lot of negativity in your life, and it's originating from the same people, find new people. Find people that are going to bring that light back into you. They're going to make you happy. Remember, you cannot change where you were born, but you affect where you end up. I couldn't change where I started. There was nothing I could do to make that any better. I couldn't just roll the dice and end up something special, right? But you know what? Looking at me now, no one would know that was them. I want all of you, each and every one of you in this room, I'm not going to say to be rich, to be glamorous. I want y'all to be happy. When y'all get older, I want y'all to be doing things that bring you happiness. With people who make you happy. That's what I want for each and every one of y'all. I appreciate y'all's time this afternoon.